You and me stuck on the ocean now, nothing but waves and they're spilling in. I wanna dry up but you just keep on going, don't you? I don't even know how we got here, all my reasoning have disappeared. I wanna bury the hatchet and find the way back to our home.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have a really fun video for you guys, and that is my thriller for beginners recommendations. If you guys know me, you know that I am a huge chicken, like colossal chicken. So I have compiled a list of thrillers that are for those of you like me that would like to kind of dabble into thriller, especially for October because you're feeling that spooky season, but you still want to be able to sleep at night. So I think I've come up with a pretty decent list of starter beginner thrillers that you guys can kind of dive into. And if you're interested in hearing about that, then make sure to comment, like, and subscribe and follow me on my social media so we can jump into the video. So before we get started, I'm going to do the same disclaimer that I do in every single one of my videos, and that is, if you're here, my great Dane, one or crown, she's not hurt, dying, or anything above, she's just dramatic, but here on this channel, we deal with it. Okay, so I have all my notes in my super fun happy planner notebook thing here, and we are going to jump right into it. So the first book that I would recommend to you guys as kind of a beginner light thriller, if you will, or like light murder mystery, most of these are murder mysteries, I guess, would be is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I'm gonna have the author's name and the book somewhere on the screen because I can't remember who wrote it, but I gave this book 4 stars. And it's about our main character, Pip, who is investigating a murder that happened in her town 5 years ago for a school project. And as she starts to dig deeper into the case, she realizes that a lot of things were overlooked or kind of misled or misconstrued. So she is now setting out to find the truth as to what really happened. I really enjoyed reading this book. There were elements to it that were a little bit annoying because I was like, okay, that's not going to happen and this shouldn't be happening. But overall, I did enjoy my read. I actually listened to it on audiobook and I thoroughly enjoyed listening to it. The experience was a lot of fun, so I would definitely recommend it as a beginner thriller. The next book that I have on my list is actually a book that I read a couple of years ago, and that's May Queen Murders, and I gave this book 3 stars. I remember exactly when I read this. I read this when I was on a Disney cruise, and I read it pretty much every single night before I would go to bed, and then I wouldn't go to bed because, like I said, I'm a chicken. But looking back on it now, and once I finished the book, I was like, okay, like, it's not as scary as I made it out to be. So essentially, it takes place in this very, very remote, secluded farming town, where our main character Ivy and her friends are kind of looked at as like the weird farming kids at their school. And the town has this yearly celebration called May Day, or the May Day celebration, where one girl is selected to be the May Day queen, or like I almost look at it as like a pageant type of thing, but like where you're elected the pageant, or like prom queen would be the best way to say it. So it's like prom queen, but for this little farming celebration. So that celebration is coming up, and is it before? After the May Day celebration, our main character's cousin, whom she treats like a sister and they're very, very close, goes missing, and she has to find out what happened. And as she digs deeper into what happened to her cousin, where her cousin is gone, she finds out that her small town has a lot of skeletons in the closet. So this is a book that had quite a few twists and turns, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time. I did physically read it, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time physically reading it. There are a couple of scenes that are very vivid and quite scary, but not scary enough that I would never sleep again or need to sleep with the light on. In that moment in time when you're reading it, you might be scared, but after you put the book down and kind of revel in it for a little bit, you'll be fine. So I definitely would recommend this book for sure. The next one that I have on my list, if you guys, I don't know if that video will come up before or after, but the next book that I have on my list is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany Jackson. Now, before I get into it, okay, let me say what it's about. So the book is about our main character's best friend, Monday, who seemingly goes missing and nobody notices or cares. And our main character, Claudia, doesn't understand why nobody is registering that her best friend has gone missing. She's not coming to school. She goes to her best friend's house. Her family won't give her any straight answers. And when she tries to talk to her own parents, they just kind of brush it off. And she's digging deeper and deeper and deeper, trying to find out where her best friend has gone. This is a book that technically, yes, is a thriller, for the way that it unravels and the ending and so on and so forth. But it also, it's hard for, I can't, I can't tell you the aspect that I want to tell you about it without it being a spoiler. So what I'm going to say is it's a thriller, but I caution it as a thriller. I would definitely read it during Halloween time, but I'm not making light of the fact that it's a thriller. It's one that you're going to have to read in order for you to understand what I'm talking about. I will do, if you guys would like a book review on Monday's Not Coming, maybe I will do that, because it is a really, really intricate story, and just there's a lot of layers to the story as well. The audiobook was done really, really well, and the writing is beautiful. I think I gave it, what did I give it? I gave it 3 stars, just because there are some things in the timeline that didn't quite add up for me, but regardless, it's still a very, very good book. The next one that I have is probably one of my favorites on this list, and that is My Sister the Serial Killer by Okoyan Brightwit. And the one note that I have for this book is family first. This is, oh, what is that? This is a book about our main character's sister who, she kills her boyfriends. Our main character's sister is this really beautiful, outgoing girl who falls in love very easily, and when her lover displeases her, she kills them and calls her older sister, whom is our main character, to come and quite literally help her clean up the mess. And our main character does it and helps her little sister, but when the sister falls for a guy that the main character likes, everything is kind of thrown into turmoil because she doesn't want him to meet the same fate that all her other sister's boyfriends meet as well. So this is a really, really fun read. It's a thriller. It's a fun thriller. There are trigger warnings for sexual and physical abuse, so just be wary of that. But as I say, it's a fun thriller. But it's definitely one for the ages. I thoroughly enjoyed my time listening to this book, so give it a try, and it's not long at all. It's great that you can just add it onto your October TBR really quick without a problem. So I would 100% add this book onto my TBR for October if you haven't read it yet, or just as a beginner thriller. It's a lot of fun. The next one that I have is Notes from My Captivity by Kathy Parks. I gave this book 3 stars. This is like your beginner thriller. It's really, it's about our main character and her stepdad, and a team of other researchers, or whatever you want to call them, going to Russia to find this secret Russian family that lives in the mountains that nobody believes exists. So, and they don't know whether they're friendly, dangerous, or whatever. So that's what they're doing. They're traveling to Russia to go and find this family. I thought it was going to end one way, and then when I realized how the book was being told, I was like, there's literally no way it could end that way. But regardless, it was still a lot of fun. I loved the scenery. One of the dogs is barking. I loved the scenery that was described in the book. It was really, really beautiful. And like I said, very, very beginner thriller. So you're gonna more than likely be able to see the ending, but the message in it was still really good. So I would highly recommend it. So the next one that I have is Sadie by Courtney Summers, which I also gave 5 stars. And this was an audiobook. This was a book that actually tore my heart out because it's a very accurate representation of what happens when someone goes missing. So it's about our main character, and our main character also has a disability as well. Our main character has a stutter, a really, really serious stutter. And she is trying to find out what happened to her little sister who was kidnapped and murdered, or seemingly kidnapped and murdered, I should say. It's really, really heartbreaking, and there are a lot of trigger warnings for sexual assault, but I say it's a beginner thriller more so for its ending, I guess. It's a hard-hitting book, and like I said, it's a very, very accurate depiction of a missing person story. So go into it knowing that, but I put it on this list because it is very, very well done, and the audiobook for it is phenomenal because it's told in like a missing persons podcast type of thing. So I would definitely go the audiobook route for it. It was really, really well done. The last book that I have on here is probably my least favorite book, and that is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I ended up giving this book 2 stars. When you're probably wondering, then why would I put it on the list? I'm putting it on the list because just because I didn't like it doesn't mean you won't like it, and it is still at its core a very, very beginner thriller. So if you're trying to dip your toe into the thriller genre, this might be a good way to go. It's about our main character. Well, it's about this private, or was it private? I guess it was private all-girls boarding school that goes into complete lockdown and quarantine because some sort of disease. Ooh, trigger warning for quarantine and lockdown. Maybe not the most timely read, but if you're into that, sure. But yeah, so it's about this disease that's kind of manifested itself. They don't know where it came from or how it spread as quickly as it did, but the whole school is on lockdown and is completely secluded from the outside world. And the teachers and students are kind of, they're dropping like flies. Like, they are dying off relatively quickly. And their only time to really go outside the border of the school, because it's surrounded by this huge fence, is when they are going to pick up supplies that is dropped off from, is it U.S. border security or something that's dropped off at a harbor nearby. But they also have to be cautious because there's something in the forest as well that is picking them off as well. And there's just, this book had every opportunity to be amazing, and it just fell short with so many different aspects for me, but it might not for you. And like I said, it's more so gory than it is creepy, which is why I say it's a good beginner foothold, because it's not going to necessarily scare you, but it might gross you out a little bit. Like, I believe one of the first scenes in the book is like the girls getting into a fight and one of the girls breaking the other's nose, and like she describes it very, very well, like the cracking and all that. It's just, yeah, it's gross. But it is good for what it is good for, and that is being a beginner thriller. So, and it does show like camaraderie between girls and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so I put it on the list mainly for that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my list of beginner thrillers for you guys. Take with it what you will. Let me know in the comments down below if you're going to give any of these books a try, or if you have already read them, and let me know what your thoughts were on them. And until next time, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe before you go, and follow me on my social media so you're not missing out on any of my posts, because I do post different content on my Instagram and Twitter than I do here, obviously, because they're different platforms. So go follow me there, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!